SSL has been at the forefront of music mixing for over 35 years, and our large format consoles are weapons of choice for many leading engineers and producers. Now, SSL brings the analog flexibility of the Battleship console into the hybrid studio. XL-Desk is the ultimate analog front end for your choice of equipment that allows you to use classic studio processing techniques alongside your DAW. In this video, we'll show you some of the techniques that have been part of engineers and producers' analog workflows, and how XL-Desk integrates these with your personal rig. But first, let's take a quick look at XL-Desk's layout. XL-Desk has 16 mono channels, each with 2 selectable input paths, a direct output, pre- or post-fader, and 2 insert slots. The first 8 channels have SSL's patented VHD microphone preamplifiers and a line-level input for your DAW, while the second 8 channels have dual line-level inputs. Like other SSL consoles, the second input can be brought into the Q stereo bus to give additional channels to mix with. And added to this, XL-Desk has 4 stereo channels, giving you a total of 40 inputs at mixdown. Each channel can be assigned to one or more of the 4 internal stereo buses, which also have their own stereo insert points and direct outputs. On the mono channels, the first insert point, labelled 500, is routed to the internal 16-slot 500 series module rack with its accompanying overspec'd PSU. This could be used to house processors from other manufacturers, if desired. Slots 9 to 16 of the rack are normally associated with mono channels 9 to 16, but can be cleverly stolen in pairs by the 4 stereo mix buses with the press of a button, combined with a full center section that can manage 3 sets of monitors and a sub, as well as 2 discrete foldback circuits. XL-Desk gives you complete analog control for tracking or mixing in a footprint less than 1 meter squared. The concept of multiple mix buses originates in post-production for film sound, mixing stems for dialogue, foley, music, and effects. And as such, our SL8000G console featured 4 stereo mix buses. When the 9000 series followed, the concept soon found a creative use in music mixing. Multiple stereo mix buses allow instruments to be grouped and processed according to their sonic character. You may know this as the multibus technique, or even Brouwerizing a mix. With this technique, an engineer would usually send all the predominantly low-frequency instruments, such as kick and bass, to a single bus, mix B in this example, with some EQ and compression applied across the insert points. I can AFL mix bus B just to hear this bus. Mix C is used to host any mid-range instruments, guitars, keys and vocals. Again, this has its own processing inserted across the insert points. Mix D is being used for any high-frequency parts, hi-hats, overheads and so on. Everything else is routed straight to Mix A, so room mics, extra overdubs. What's happening is the instruments are being processed with respect to their frequency characteristics, and this can bring some really great sounding results. We can then record these back as stems into our DAW from the mix bus's direct outputs for later tweaking. Using the 2A button, I can route the outputs of these stereo subgroups into the main mix bus and then into the bus compressor where everything gets bound together by some appropriate compression. If there's one thing that leading mix engineers keep coming back to, it's the SSL bus compressor, and there's one in the XL-Desk as standard. Known quite simply as the glue, the bus compressor brings together a mix like nothing else. The trick with the bus compressor is to mix into it. Engineers tell us that putting the compressor on before a single fader is raised yields the best results. The effect of mix bus compression will help shape the underlying feel of a track. And the more you mix with the bus compressor, the more you know what to expect from it. On this track, I've started with the attack set to 10 milliseconds and the release on auto. I like what it's doing, but the track could benefit from a little more aggressive compression. Changing the attack time to 3 milliseconds and increasing the ratio will help achieve this. To round things off, I want to have the compressor not be triggered so severely by the low frequencies from the kick drum in this track. The new 500 series bus compressor design allows the sidechain of the compressor to filter the low end out with a steppable high-pass filter. The result is that while the kick is still being compressed, its low-frequency energy is no longer triggering the compressor, leading to less pumping. Of course, none of this analog flexibility is any use if you can't recall sessions quickly. In the hybrid studio, this can mean printing stems. Every channel in XL-Desk has its own direct output, post-processing, and it's switchable between pre- or post-fader. Typically, you'd have the direct outputs connected to the inputs of your DAW's audio interface. To keep your outboard running at the right level, every channel has a center detent line trim after the input. This allows you to take complete control of your sound for driving into or backing off any inserted compressor or processor that you have connected across one of the available insert points. When it comes to mixdown, it's without question that the demands of modern-day mixing require repeated tweaks and mix revisions, often several times a day. This is why XL-Desk has been designed with direct outputs not only on all of the channels, but also the stereo returns and the mix buses too. This means that everything running through XL-Desk can be printed back into the DAW at any time without the need for noting settings. This way, coming back to a session is as easy as bringing up the tracks and resetting all faders to 0 so you can make tweaks quickly and efficiently alongside your DAW. The Listen mic featured on early SSL consoles and served the purpose of acting as a reverse talkback mic. The producer could hear what the performers had to say after a take by simply engaging the Listen button. This would activate a heavily compressed microphone setup in the middle of the live room and bring it into the studio speaker system. One of the SSL legends to occur from this involved a drummer by the name of Phil Collins and a producer called Hugh Padgham. The Listen button was accidentally pressed during a drum take. A heavily compressed, distorted drum sound rang through the speaker system and turned out to be just the explosive sound Hugh was after. Whether using it simply as a communications tool or as a creative mixing aid, there is a Listen mic compressor fitted into XL-Desk capable of capturing some truly explosive sounds. And naturally, it has an output on the rear panel so you can record the sound of the Listen mic and compressor back into your DAW. The modern studio demands a high-quality center section. XL-Desk combines a pristine super analog monitoring path with a whole host of useful features. 2 foldback sections provide a fast way of generating independent headphone mixes, each with their own talkback directly from the desk with 0 latency. A third headphone mix can be set up if required using aux 2. 3 sets of speaker outputs and a separate sub-output with bass management allows the engineer to monitor their mix on multiple systems. Whether checking the mix on the studio monitors, a hi-fi or grot box, engineers need monitoring options to meet the varying ways in which we all listen to music. And what's more, the super analog design ensures you get complete transparency and clarity in your professional studio setup. To find out more about XL-Desk, please visit www.solidstatelogic.com. XL-Desk has enough inputs to track a whole band at once, and enough tricks up its sleeve to handle full and busy mixes. It isn't just another box for you to think about. It's a proper SSL super analog console to track and mix with. Thank you for watching.